So if you're a marketer, let me ask, how confident are you that your content actually connects in every market? If you're guessing, it might be time to check out Phrase. Phrase is the industry-leading AI localization platform that helps you deliver content in multiple languages without losing your tone, your message, or your mind. It automates the manual work, slashes review time, and gives you real data on what's working where. Brands like Uber and Zendesk trust Phrase to scale their content across the globe and get it right every time. If you're serious about reaching more people and driving better results internationally, head over to phrase.com/MPN and take a look. That's phrase.com/MPN. Are you tired of juggling multiple software tools to manage your agency? Say hello to Deltek Workbook, the ultimate solution for marketing and communication agencies. With Workbook, you can streamline your projects, resources, and finances all in one place. Imagine real-time dashboards and reports giving you full visibility into your projects, people, and financials. Plan your team's capacity weeks in advance to avoid bottlenecks while staying on budget to maximize project margins. Plus, Workbook works perfectly for both agencies and in-house marketing teams looking to boost efficiency and profitability. And here's the best part. At PCI, we're a certified Deltek partner and reseller offering expert implementation, integrations, and ongoing support to ensure your success. Want to see how Deltek Workbook can transform your operations? For a free consultation, visit pci.us/podcast today. That's pci.us/podcast.
Coming up on this episode of the Entrepreneurial You.
We need to feel heard. We need to feel cared for. We need to find purpose in our work. These are just a couple of things that I think about and have really built the business around. The longer that I work now and work double time, triple time, 10 times as hard as my colleague next door works, I will be able to get to a point where work becomes optional way quicker than anyone else.
Hey, it's John Lee Dumas of EO Fire, and it's the Entrepreneurial You, the show for dedicated and passionate Caribbean entrepreneurs seeking daily inspiration, brought to you by author, speaker, and award-winning entrepreneur Heneka Watkis-Porter. You must be prepared to ignite.
It is time for another episode of the Entrepreneurial You podcast. And if you know me, you know that gets me really, really excited, and particularly when we have exciting guests. But of course, I'm your host, Heneka Watkis-Porter, and I like to say it's a show where we pull the curtain off on what it takes to build, scale, and sustain success, right? Where entrepreneurship is concerned. I'm your host, Heneka Watkis-Porter, and today my guest is the definition of a modern entrepreneur. He is Jordan Calderon. Jordan is a 2 times exited founder, president of Strat Dev, one of the top 100 marketing firms in the US, and a TEDx speaker who's very passionate about growing businesses the right way, not just the loudest way, right? So from building a national college apparel company to generating over 150 million in client revenue and even launching a wine brand. Jordan has seen it all. So if you, my friend, if you're ready for a candid look at the real strategies, mindset, and decisions behind scaling companies, you are undoubtedly in for a treat. Welcome, Jordan Calderon.
Thank you so much. I feel welcomed. Heneka, you say modern entrepreneur. I love that, and I might have to steal that from you. But for those that might have been following me a little bit before, maybe 2-3 years ago, I actually used to call myself the millennial marketer. And the reason why I don't anymore is because I realized after a couple questions, hey, you look really young for a millennial. I wasn't in the range. The cutoff is 1996. And I was born in 1998. I'm 26-year-old now. So I'm Gen Z. So Gen Z marketer doesn't have that same ring as the millennial marketer. So I ended up scrapping that idea and just call myself a normal entrepreneur now. But modern entrepreneur, modern marketer, I like that. It has a good ring.
I love it. It's like that. That's like my icebreaker question. Before I even get into my icebreaker, because like you started to break the ice, a long time ago. But I want to let my audience of peak performers know that we're talking today about scaling with purpose, the mindset and strategies behind sustainable growth. And this is against the backdrop We're in a world obsessed with rapid growth and flashy marketing. My guest today, which is of course is Jordan, he stands apart by championing a more intentional and sustainable approach. And as a two-time exited founder and president of one of the top 100 marketing firms in the US, certainly he knows that scaling a business is not just about the noise that you hear out there, right? It's not about making noise. It really is about building lasting value. So the candid stories from his entrepreneurial journey, we're going to hear it. We're going to hear turning down of the acquisition offers and launching diverse ventures, and the mindset shifts that are necessary, and the strategies, the smart strategies that are necessary to help you as an entrepreneur grow your company the right way, which is really balancing that ambition with authenticity and long-term success. So Jordan, I love how you came in with that. I thought it actually is a launch pad for where we can go in our conversation. But I want to ask you my own preset icebreaker question, right? So you've built and exited companies. You've launched a wine brand. You've even taken on the TEDx stage. A lot of persons like myself have ambitions to do, right? So what's one unexpected lesson that you've learned from turning down an acquisition offer? Because we read up about you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think you're talking about back in 2023, where Strat Dev, which is a full service digital marketing firm and my biggest company at this very moment, we got 11 acquisition offers in the middle of 2023. I floated the question out to a couple of people, said, hey, I'm curious if this company has any value. I'm just putting out feelers and just seeing, if anyone would be interested in the company. Nothing formal, didn't hire a broker by any means. I literally just put out the word to a handful of trusted individuals saying, hey, let me know if anything comes back in terms of interest. And that turned into 11 unique individuals and or entities coming back, slamming their hand on the table saying, I want Strat Dev, I want to buy it. And there ended up being a little bit of a bidding war as well. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. I haven't even given you, further than the past trailing 12 months of financials. I haven't given you any information on how the processes and procedures work, but people really saw the reputation that Strat Dev has built, the great team that we have in place, and I think most importantly, the phenomenal results that we've been able to drive for our customers. And as a result, was able to buy into our vision here. And that vision is loud. And as a result, turned into 11 LOIs. And for those that don't know what LOI stands for, it's a letter of intent. It's essentially a non-binding agreement saying, hey, I want to buy this company for this amount. Here are our terms. And if you say yes, then I want exclusivity with you to further explore this opportunity. We're going to go through our nitty gritty. I want to check bank statements. I want to verify that everything is correct. I'm going to run audits on the company to ensure that everything is in working order before I actually submit and send those funds. So it's a pretty big step. It's a first big step of really getting started when you sell a business. And so I ended up turning away Heneka all of those 11 offers. And the reason why is, I think, twofold. The first reason is because firstly, I wasn't even looking to truly sell the business. I was just looking to see if there was value. And those 11 offers were the definition of, okay, this company has value. There's 11 people that when I didn't even try that hard, wanted to buy the business that bad that they were able to give their vote of confidence in the form of a legal agreement saying, I'm ready to buy this company if you are too. And the second reason is that I really wanted to bet and believe on myself. So you ask, what is a lesson that I learned, an unexpected lesson? When you see 11 offers coming into your business, and some of them being pretty attractive offers, I was 23 years old at the time. It's kind of hard to turn those down sometimes, right? It's a big number, and young folks, and I'm not even immune to it, have sometimes shiny object syndrome. I was like, whoa, I like that number. If I just say yes to that, or I sign that agreement, I can get that. But I bet on myself. And so as a result, going now 2 years into the future, in today, I am happy that I made that bet on myself because I've been able to about 2 or 2.5x the business in terms of revenue, in terms of team size, in terms of clients taken on, and in terms of arguably most importantly profit since then. So the business value or valuation has increase significantly. And so if I were to, in an alternate or parallel universe, sell Strat Dev, I would be happy to see that likely there would be a doubling or more in terms of what that purchase price would be. So held on, believed in myself. I thought I can continue to grow it, and it's turned out to be a amazing bet on myself and a good lesson learned.
Yeah. Wow, that is fantastic. And I want to get into, being within that top 100 marketing firms within the US. So we put it into context in terms of the size of the US and everything. And we want to put that into context. But before I do that, you are a two-time exit founder. What are some of, well, let's know those businesses that you exited. Were they still marketing? What were you doing? Why did you exit?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first successful company that I started, I will put an asterisk there because I have a lot of failures under my belt too, and a lot of entrepreneurs don't like to talk about that. But the first success that I had was a company.
Congratulations.
The failures are, I think, pivotal stepping stones into my successes. So maybe to take it back just a little bit here, for those that don't know, I started my first successful company called College Cloud in college, my freshman year at UC Santa Barbara. But before I started that, I had three other e-commerce companies that failed. But this fourth one, which was a college apparel company called College Clout, we worked with fraternities, sororities, clubs, and organizations across school campuses in the United States. For example, there was a fraternity that needed homecoming shirts. We would go ahead and make a custom design for those homecoming shirts. We would slap it on a t-shirt and then we would send it out to them in bulk. Or for example, there's 200 members on the dance club and they all want end of the year apparel that has their little logo that they built saying, Dance Club 2025. We can put that on a hat. We can put that on a sweatshirt. We can put that on a pants, socks, whatever it is. We would go print that out and then send it over to the end customer. And so we did that. I bootstrapped that company with $500 in my bank account and grew that to a significant state and eventually sold that company to a company called Greek House. And Greek House back in 2021 was the biggest custom college apparel company in the United States. Actually, funny enough, they recently, just a couple months ago, got acquired by University Tees, which is the now, I think, biggest conglomerate company that does all the custom college apparel that you would ever want. So, listeners, if you have kids or you yourself are in college, look at the back of your hoodie and it will likely say University Tees right there. But, after exiting that company, really thought to myself, what do I want to do next? What are my passions? Where do they lie? And how will I find myself in a position where I would love to do what I do in these next steps? And I realized that I built this pretty nice company, College Clout, throughout college, and I learned a lot of lessons as well. And so as a result, I wanted to really do the same for other companies. I taught myself all these different marketing tactics on YouTube, right? How to write an SEO blog post, how to get PR and press, how to run a Facebook ad. And through that, and through my learnings, was able to build the company as high and as far as I did. So I essentially said, okay, you know what? How can I do what I did for College Clout for other businesses? And just like that, my little light bulb moment came in. Okay, let's start an agency. Let me go ahead and create a digital marketing firm where we can run marketing for other companies that are small to get them bigger, just to put into layman's terms, right? And so over 5 years, that's evolved into a full stack marketing firm, which is Strat Dev. And along the way, I met an amazing partner named Andreas Gonzalez to work on a very niche design firm that did specifically something called conversion rate optimization. That company was called Rethink Design, and we started that in January of 2022. And in 24 months, in January of 2024, we ended up selling that company to a software company and had a successful exit there. So that's a little bit of background on the exit stories.
Wow, very impressive, Jordan. Extremely impressive. All right, so now I want to go back to, when you talk about, when I was mentioning that being one of the top 100 marketing firms in the US, we're not talking about a state within the US, really. We're talking about the overall country, which the US isn't small for context. So contextualize that for us, in Jamaica, who one of your states, Jamaica is a size or even smaller, in some instances, half the size of one of your states in the US. Give us context.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an absolute pleasure to be able to get the accolades that we have, winning some of the awards that we have as well. I think a lot of people on paper see that the reason why we get these awards are because of these kick-ass case studies that we have. On average, 94% of our customers see a positive return on investment within 6 months or less, which means that 94% of customers make more money than they spend with us in terms of profit in 6 months or less. And marketing is not magic. I can't just snap my fingers and make money coming out of thin air. If I could, we probably wouldn't be talking. I'd be sipping Mai Tais in Jamaica on the beach, right? But instead, right, we get really close to it. 94% is pretty close to magic, I'd like to say. So
Yes.
there's that. But how we get there is really based off of the team. So we started Strat Dev, 5 years ago, and as of today in 2025, we're a team of about 40 individuals. So we're 40 full-time equivalent strong. And with that, we're fully remote. We are globalized at this point, and our team is really only as good as our weakest link, right? Um, what I have decided to focus on and invest time, money, energy, and resources into was the culture of the business from day one, right? And so we have people again from every different area of the world, but we all really come together under one unified brand, which is Strat Dev. And truly, truly, truly work as family. I know a lot of employers will come and bring in their employees and say, yeah, we're family, we take care of you. And what taking care of you means is maybe like one pizza party at the end of the year, which is BS if you ask me, right? We had office space back in 2021. We ended up getting rid of that office space. That rent was relatively expensive. We ended up actually giving that rent back in terms of pay raises to all of our customers.
Wow.
For
Oh,
everyone's birthday, I personally, out of my own pocket, give everyone a bonus for their birthday, whether they're doing the great job in the world or not, just to show that we care. We have an unlimited paid time off policy that allows people to take as much time off as possible and get paid for it. And a lot of people listening to probably hear, okay, unlimited paid time off, means that you're going to get a weird look whenever you ask for time off, right? No, we force people to take certain time off. Actually, one of our teammates earlier today gave me a call, said that they were a little bit overwhelmed, and I forced them to take the next 2 weeks off for their mental, physical, and emotional health. So we really, and when I say act like family, we act like family. We care about family. We care about each other like family. That in turn makes our team really happy and really excited to work at Strat Dev. And being a B2B service-based company where our team is only as good as our weakest link is actually quite high. So that turns into amazing performance for our customers. That leads to the 94% success rate that we see with our customers, which then leads to these accolades. So it really starts and is rooted by, I'd like to believe, the incredible culture that we built here at Strat Dev. It translates to the clients. And that's the thing
wow.
that people don't see.
That's impressive. I mean, I'm building for my social enterprise a team as well, and they're all a team of volunteers and stuff. And we just finished a cohort mentoring women for free, and they're from all over the world, and they work so hard, and they're not even paid for it, right? And I said to them, listen, like just like you force them to take, you force them to take vacation and stuff. I just say time off. I just say, listen, that week of the 15th, they're coming up in June. I mean, by the time this airs, it would have passed it, but just take that week off. I don't want you doing anything grace to grow, right? And then I just interviewed Andrea Dempsey Chung. Again, by the time this airs, that episode of the TV show would have aired. And she was just telling me about her leadership and her culture that she's building as well. And she's actually, giving persons the option to, I forget what she calls it, but persons can do like a job switch or something, or take time off. Like there's a host of things she's doing. And I'm like, yeah. But when you're talking about work, because people spend so much of their time at work, and the truth is life is lifing and people get overwhelmed. And so being able to treat people in that way, it augurs well for your organization. And so there is no doubt why it is you're growing the way you're growing. So kudos to you and your team. Congratulations. Congratulations. All
Thank you.
right. So you're welcome. Listen, we need to talk about scaling with purpose, the mindset and strategies behind sustainable growth. Because listen, you have proven time and again that it is possible to grow, right? And scale. And I'd want to hear from you. I mean, you're pretty young, right? You're pretty young and you're doing it so effectively. Just talk about that mindset, and particularly in the realm of, I hear employers a lot complaining about the Gen Zs and the millennials and the culture and all of that and the mindset. Let's talk about building a business within that culture and what mindset is necessary for growth.
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. Yes, I think a lot of employers, call us Gen Zers a lot of things that I'm not going to say on a podcast, but I don't believe that really, right? I think that Gen Z has an incredible superpower that really just needs to be unlocked. So to put into nicer words, what a lot of these, sometimes other employers think is that we're lazy, think that we only want money, right? We don't want to work well for it, that we complain a lot, things like that. And I, again, don't agree with that, nor do I believe that is fair. I think that we, coming into this day and age and this newer kind of group of people, right, that our wants and interests and needs have transitions a little bit differently as well. So we need to feel heard. We need to feel cared for. We need to find purpose in our work. These are just a couple of things that I think about and have really built the business around. But even going before then, right, when I started Strat Dev, I dealt with even a little bit of adversity being a little bit young as well. So I have some hair on my face here, being 26 years old now. But back when I was 20 years old, starting Strat Dev, I had none. And I looked maybe at best 16, 17 years old. I've always had a little bit of a baby face. It's either that or I have a great skincare routine, right? Anyways, I thought that having this great case study in the palm of my hands, which was College Clout, building and selling that company at such a young age would have been enough to be able to convince prospects that I got it, right? That I have some proof of concept, that I've been able to do this for my own company, and maybe I can do it for you. But I started to get on these initial sales calls with certain prospects right when I started the company, started to pitch Strat Dev, and would come to find that they really didn't listen to me. They, whatever I would say, whether it was really, really, really good or really, really, really bad, they just look at me being like, "Oh, that's really cute," a small young entrepreneur, trying to sell me on something. And so, my age, right, I think showed a lot in those conversations, not by what I said, but just kind of what I look like. It was essentially, I don't know, like it ages stereotyping. I don't really know what it's called there, but I just did as a result, I did my best to try to hide my age. I tried to, talk like an older person. I tried to, grow a little bit of a disheveled beard as much as I possibly could, get the little Sharpie and put wrinkles on my forehead. No, I'm kidding. I didn't go that far. But the point is, I really tried to mask it. And I realized that all that did was hurt my ability to be able to bring in new business and build those trustworthy relationships. And so I took a step back, looked myself in the mirror and thought really, really hard, okay, I'm really young. It's obvious that I'm really young. I'm talking to people, I'm selling people the age of my parents, sometimes even the age of my grandparents, right? I'm trying to act like a grandparent. That's not going to happen. So what do I need to do? I need to embrace this. And so I did. I fully dove into that character. I said, you know what? Yeah, I am a young entrepreneur. And yes, I am Gen Z, right? Or I call myself millennial, right? Millennial marketer. But even with that, I basically said, I use my age to my advantage. And that really turned the tables, right? I said, hey, you're not going to get these proven battle tested strategies that have been in place for 20 years, right? You're not going to get that. You're going to get the new future best practices, right? We are creating what best practices are for tomorrow in our engagement. We're going to think of out of the box creative strategies to get your product and or service out in the face of your customers, find that product market fit on these new digital channels, and then be able to drive you a return on investment. So that ended up really, really, really resonating with the customers, right? And so I was talking about these new age things, and I looked new age as well. So boom, we were able to find some product market fit with with that. And, a lot of these older individuals, right, don't know digital marketing as much as, the younger folks did. So I really leaned into it, and it really, really, really did help. And so I've continued to build the business with that idea in mind. Hey, how do we stay on the forefront of these new changes and moves and shakes? Back in 2022, or sorry, 2021, TikTok ended up becoming super popular. We were on the forefront of TikTok. We've run some pretty massive campaigns on TikTok and got some great results just by being a first mover and having that advantage. More recently, AI has been the talk of the town as well, right? How do we become not just AI resilient, but also AI adaptive and leverage and benefit through AI with our digital marketing agencies? So a lot of other marketing firms are very scared of AI. We welcome it, right? And we've learned to leverage it not just for ourselves, but also for the benefit of our customers as well. And our customers really do appreciate that, and the fact that we're staying up top and on highly aware on a day-to-day basis of what's moving and shaking and changing in the AI world, because it changes every single day. So that holistically really, really, really has helped build that business and the angle that we take at Strat Dev from day one.
That's extremely impressive, Jordan. Congratulations again. It's refreshing to hear. You're refreshing to, just sit and have conversation with. We're moving into the community connection segment. And when we come back, we want to hear from Jordan, just him bringing it home. Why did he decide? I mean, he did decide to bet on himself with Strat Dev, right? And that confidence that he had to bet on himself when he could have just, be acquired, right? He did not go for that. He decided to bet on himself. All right, it's community connection. And so, I've been sharing over the last couple of weeks about LeaderCast Kingston happening in October, and I'm super excited for that. We're bringing together visionaries and innovators for a day of actionable learning and connection. And so right after that, a couple of weeks after, in November, I want you to pack your bags for the leadership cruise at 5 days at sea, right? We're in the Bahamas, we're having mastermind workshop, and we're networking aboard Royal Caribbean's Liberty of the Seas. So we are going to be in for a treat. And if you want to reserve your spot, and you should, then email me at heneka@henekawatkis-porter.com or WhatsApp 876-849-2571. And as always, I welcome your questions and feedback about today's episode. Be sure to connect with me in the segment, the community connection segment. I'm going back to Jordan, that conversation with Jordan Calderon. And I'm a little disappointed because it's time to wrap our conversation. And it has been truly, truly refreshing just hearing his perspective, how he's grown his company, and to where it's at right now, being the top 100 marketing firm in the US. That's no easy feat, betting on himself. So you decided to bet on yourself, Jordan. What gave you the confidence to do that? Why did you decide to do that?
Oh man, I wish I had a good answer for this, and maybe my answer is, but I think, at least for me, the reason why I chose entrepreneurship is because I'm inherently lazy. I want
Right, go figure.
I know, right? But I want to, when I am, 30, 40, maybe not 30, 40, 50 years old, be able to do anything work related electively, right? Not that I need to. I see how hard my parents work. I see how hard my aunts and uncles work. I see how hard my friends' parents work, being, climbing into their 60s now. And I just don't want to be that. That is so not attractive to me. So I am inherently lazy, but I am pushing back my time to be lazy and working double time today to be able to essentially financially get to myself to the ability where I have the ability to easy, right? And so with that, right, looking at those offers that came in 2023, yes, those numbers were attractive, but those numbers were not enough to allow me to be lazy forever. If you understand and get my drift, for forever retirement or optional work. However, I think we're getting now very close for those numbers to be able to be a work becomes optional, right? And so the longer that I work now and work double time, triple time, 10 times as hard as my colleague next door works, right? I will be able to get to a point where work becomes optional way quicker than anyone else would. And so that is why I do what I do. That is why I turn down the offers.
Delayed gratification, Jordan, is the best form of gratification. I love that. And we're going to end here, unfortunately. But, all good things must come to an end, or as we say, continue. So we continue off the platform, I guess. So, Jordan, your final thoughts, your one piece of advice, your one solid piece of advice to persons listening now. And we do have a lot of marketing agencies and firms within my listenership. So that one piece of advice for persons within that field, and then how might our community connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. My one piece of advice, I know this might sound relatively removed, but get to your first million as quickly as you possibly can. I know million is a very, very, very big number. Believe me, I understand. But the second that you get to your first million, you are able to take bigger risks. So if you're deciding to jump into entrepreneurship, right? And you are at a net worth of $1,000 or $10,000, right? Your work is not just your passion in entrepreneurship, but it's also going to be paying the bills. It's also going to provide yourself a livelihood. And so there's essentially two things that you're working for. And sometimes those two things are not in parallel with each other, right? Pay yourself or reinvest in the company. Sometimes you have to pay for yourself. But once you get to that million mark in terms of what your net worth is, then everything turns into reinvesting in the business because you have a big enough safety net under yourself to be able to fully give yourself your all. And so once you get to that number, things get really, really, really fun. You're able to start taking some pretty big risks, and not have to worry about the personal finances as much or really at all, assuming that you don't spend like some of these Miami kids these days, but it really, really, really does help. And so that is my piece of advice. In terms of where you can find me on LinkedIn, Jordan Calderon. I have a cool picture of me, at least as of June 10th, 2025, of me at the New York Stock Exchange, having a good conversation there. You can also find me on Instagram.
Quick question.
Yes, yes,
Do
yes,
you
yes.
plan to list? Do you plan to list?
No, I do not plan to list.
Okay, all
This
right.
company will be. Oh, I can't make any promises, but I do not as of today plan to list Strat Dev. There's a reason why I am a solo founder of Strat Dev, and the reason why is because I like to keep control, and it's right control, but I don't like to report to 20 old white-haired board members telling me what to do and breathing down my back to ensure that I do it. That doesn't sound too attractive to me, and so if we list, we might find ourselves in that situation. So I like having the control that I do have here. But anyways, find me on LinkedIn. Find me on Instagram at It's Jordan Calderon. You can see my personal life. You can see all the cool, fun places I travel. I'm a big foodie. You can see all the cool food that I eat as well, and maybe some silly side adventures that I have on the weekends. Outside of that, go check out StratDev, stratdev.co. I'm also building out a new, really, really, really awesome staffing and recruiting company where we're building out our own AI software that essentially gives the people that we hire in your business the ability to 3x the output through AI decision making with fewer mistakes and better output. If you are looking to start a company and hiring your first employee, which could be very expensive, check out My Virtual Desk, which is that company. We can find you a staff member and give you a free license to My Virtual Desk AI, which is the software behind it, for only $2,000 a month. So save money, save costs, and get 3 times the output. That sounds like a good deal to me. But yeah, Heneka, that is all I have here today. I appreciate the time that you spent with me on this podcast. I've very much and truly enjoyed it.
Wow, wow, wow. I appreciate you, Jordan. What a pleasure it has been speaking with you. All right, so now it's time for Trending Now, and here's a trend worth noting. According to recent studies, 64% of high growth companies are now prioritizing sustainable, customer centric strategies over flashy short term wins. Marketing agencies that focus on ROI and authentic storytelling are seeing a 40% higher client retention rate. And of course, we know that based on conversation that we've just had with Jordan, his approach is right on the pulse of what's working in business today. Again, I must offer huge, huge, huge thanks. I'm so grateful to Jordan Calderon for sharing his real world wisdom and for reminding us, that it really is about betting on yourself, really, in entrepreneurship. That's what it is. And if you want to grow, then you have to put in the right strategies. So if you want to learn more about Strat Dev or connect with Jordan, he had already mentioned his social media. visit stratdev.co or find him on, LinkedIn and Instagram, X, all of those. If this episode gave you a new perspective, please subscribe, leave a rate or review, and share it with your entrepreneur friend who's ready to grow smarter, who's ready to shift that mindset, bet on themselves. Remember, the best businesses aren't always the noises. They're the ones that are built to last. And this has been the Entrepreneurial You. As I leave, I want you to affirm with me. I'm committed to growing my business with intention, integrity, and the right mindset. A huge thank you to our sponsors, the Jamaica Stock Exchange and Heneka Watkis-Porter.com.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Robbie Samuels hosts the On the Schmooze podcast. Robbie, tell listeners what to expect from the show.
Since 2015, I've interviewed entrepreneurs who overcame challenges to achieve success in their field or industry. Tune in to On the Schmooze to listen as I ask deep questions to elicit untold stories about leadership and networking.
And where can people subscribe?
Find the show at ontheschmooze.com or on marketingpodcast.net, or just search for it wherever you get your podcasts.
You heard them. Go subscribe. This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.